have a upper elementary, and I have two that are the elementary school. Again, no bus service provided. My children have to walk to and from school each day. So I find it unfair that we do not in town get bus service to take our kids to and from school, so we know that they're safe and they're warm. I don't have that luxury. I still pay the same amount of taxes as everybody outside of the county and outlying areas. When they don't have school and you call off because of road conditions, because they're dangerous, my children walk in the dangerous conditions every morning with the wind chill factors. This is unfair. It's been going on too long. We need to find a way to accept these children on our school buses and our transportation just like any other kid in the county. Something needs to change. We were told at one point that it was just a matter of the children. We didn't have enough bus drivers. Well, guess what? We need to start looking for bus drivers or other accommodations for the kids that live inside our town district. It's not fair to accommodate one set of kids and leave the others unaccounted for.
What's your name, ma'am?
And I'll talk it.
Okay, thank you. I'll follow back up with you and get you some clarity on.
Well, I was told this morning because my granddaughter showed up at 7:20. The principal called me.
That was me.
Okay.
You talked, yes.
Okay. So, and she's, she informed me that she was there at 7:20. Jacqueline left at the same time she does every morning. Now, granted, it was like really cold this morning. So obviously she's going to walk faster. Well, apparently we don't even have the staff in the schools to let the children in early. So they're not cold. So, I mean, I get it when the buses are coming, they're given scheduled time and all this other, but those kids are warm. If the buses show up and the doors aren't open, they have someplace to sit. The town kids don't have this luxury. It's not fair.
Mine real quick to clarify, did you say your child got here at 7:20 and nobody was here?
No, that the doors were closed. The principal of her school called me to tell me that I need to move her back in her time of what time she gets to school.
Yours went up at 7:30.
Exactly. So not only does my child have to walk in the temperatures, then she has to stand outside the school building because there's not enough supervision. And this is an upper elementary child, by the way. Upper.
Do you mind, I'm not going to ask for it out loud, but would you come over and leave your number, please?
Absolutely.
Just a couple of comments, if I could. We're all kind of with you on this. I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum all year long. Staffing is an issue all around.
Understood.
Busing, bus drivers are an issue all around.
Understood. But this has been going on. It's not just this year.
Oh, I
it's
know.
been years.
We talked about it for years.
Well, something's got to change.
Buses are an issue.
Then they will get there's buses that go through our town. That go right by my street. That go down my street, and my children are walking. They're walking in these temperatures. Granted, my kid probably would love to walk, but when you throw in temperatures and they have to walk that, or they walk faster because they're cold, it's not right.
I understand.
It's not right.
I just wanted to give that background, but we've talked it and talked, and we've tried to find
But there has
solutions.
Trying to find solutions at this point is not acceptable. We have to find the solution. It's elementary school kids. It's lower elementary school kids. And then I'm told today, by law, the preschoolers have to have a bus. Not fair. The elementary kids are walking.
Give her the number to Frankfurt, please, Harvis. I know you have all the connections. Okay. Thank you.
You're
Your number
welcome.
will follow up.
I'm just something real quick. Mine, we took our bus pay. We paid the highest around. We paid $20.01 an hour starting. We can't even cover all the roads out in the county. We had to stop service down them. I'll make you a deal. If you find me 2 bus drivers, I'll find you 2 buses for town here.
I'll make you a deal, make my kids safe. You all were elected into this position, figure it out.
By law, we don't have to require bus routes within a mile.
Oh, okay, but so now you're telling me the kid within a mile
No,
don't.
we're not. We don't.
So
have
why do
bus
I have to
drivers.
pay the same amount of taxes as somebody that's a mile and a half out?
Man, basically, I probably pay more taxes than anyone in this county now and get bus service down the road I live on.
Okay, and you're doing nothing to solve our problem.
Man, we're trying to do everything we can. I can't create people to drive buses. If I ain't got a person. put in a
But
bus,
when I
can't
called
send
and
it out.
spoke to somebody today, they told me that this is just the way it is.
No, it's not the way it is.
That's what I was told today, because they came here in July,
If I can't get bus drivers to put in those buses, to drive those buses, I can't send a bus down the road.
but I was told when I got here in July, this is the way this is the way it is.
No, man, we used to have bus service on the city.
Oh, I know, because I've been here for 30 years.
We'll work on this. We will get some disclosure, even if we have to open the buildings earlier, we will find a way. I guess
Okay.
cold temperatures, but we'll get back with you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Superintendent and I had this very conversation the other day, didn't we, when it got cold. I asked him, is there any way we can get buses, get those children picked up?
I don't get, if I have to bring them, I can. That's not the problem. The problem is I'm getting a call from your principals that my child's there 10 minutes before the doors will open, and I need to move my child back.
When we have jobs as well.
I'm doing everything I can do on my time. I've been without bus service. I've been doing what I've got to do, but now I have principals calling me, asking me to move my times.
So I missed that part of it then. So you literally had
I had a principal, she's sitting right here, call me, telling me my child is standing outdoor at 7:20. Asked me to move the time back for her to get to school.
a follow up on that. Ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I appreciate the information.
Absolutely.
Clarified something there.
Thank you. Board member comments? Thank you.
Attended event what night was that, Mr. Cash? Wednesday, I think, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So a gentleman is here to talk about drugs and particularly vaping and all of the all of the ingredients in vapes that are available in every run, marathon, stop and go, hop shop. We've all seen them and how dangerous it is. It was really good. I guess he talked to the schools last week as well, all the students. Yeah, elementary, middle, high school. So it was very informative. It was quite scary what kids are picking up in vapes these days and not even knowing it necessarily, but it was very informative. That's all. Thank you.
John? Argus?
Yes, ma'am. And then I'm gonna reserve my time to also got a tour from the high school the other day.
Mhm.
And several things come out of that tour. One thing the board we need to take a look at is the condition of the building as far as cleaning. And Mr. Cash, how often do you all walk through and check those buildings?
We go through them quite often, but I've never, unless it's just something that jumps out at me, I don't have a standardized check sheet or anything like that.
So you all do go through the classrooms and make sure they're being cleaned and things?
Well, we're in there, but I've not necessarily just to see if they're clean. I look at stairwells and things of that nature.
And and from my understanding, those stairwells are on, weekly.
Yes, with the cleaning service, yes. Usually the principal will notify us, mainly Mr. Arvin, and he'll contact the cleaning crew, meet with them and tell them what we'd like to address.
Okay.
That's kind of been the protocol, sir.
The, board, we need to take a look at bringing cleaning back in-house, because from what I seen over the other day, we're not getting, it just ain't working, and I calculated between $17 and $18 an hour starting. And it saved us about $36,000 a year to bring the cleaning back in, to bring it back in-house, so those classrooms are getting cleaned, trash is getting taken out, several of the rooms I walked through, dirt along the walls and things, you can tell they hadn't been swept like they were supposed to. The stairwells and things, some of the tread plates, I know John's been complaining about this since he was principal over there. It's just not getting done. And we expect certain things out of our children. At least we can do is have them a place to come in and better shape than what it is. The other thing I've seen that's a major concern to me, there wasn't one room that I walked into, the children weren't plugged in on their cell phones. Now, we have a policy in place on cell phones or electronic devices. I believe we have an electronic policy. Yes, no.
I think it's more electronic device. I don't want to shoot from the hip. Miss Jody, can you pull it up, please? Cell phone policy.
I understand children having their cell phones during lunch, during breaks and things. But when you walk in, over half the classroom sitting around on their cell phone, including some of the staff members, if they've got time to do that, then we're doing something wrong here. Jody, I used to know that policy number, and I want to apologize. I forgot to print that off before I left. I guess my question is, whose job is it to enforce policy? To answer your question.
Start with me. And I go down to the building principal.
Let's, how about
Is
we
that
put it
what
on the
you're
next
asking?
meeting, and then we'll review it, make sure we don't need to make any changes. And
We addressed it already, that we had before the walkthrough, but yes, I think it's progressively worse. And we talked about a complete shutdown of cell phones in the classroom.
Can I ask for
Sir,
the next meeting, can we have a copy of what the policy is?
Sure.
If you've got that, that would be good. No, what the factual situation is, we're building,
policy on cell phones,
probably for each building, probably it may change from building to building.
Mr. Arvin, a quick question. Could you look up before the next meeting? Some of the students I talked to, they said the reason I was talking to them at Subway the other night, someone come up and talk to me about some issues and some things for me to look into. Some of them said the reason that they was using their cell phones because the Wi-Fi system over there, they said if you answer a question on the computer, it takes a minute. Once you answer it, it takes a minute or two for it to load the next question. When we done the camera systems and things over there, I was under the impression at the time we were supposed to get updated hotspots and stuff to that building. Did you look and see when the last time that was updated? Whether it be software or hardware update? Take a look at what kind we got in there. They did up our internet speed, if I'm correct. So we've got enough data coming into this district now. We should have, students should be having a problem with our Wi-Fi system. And if the internet's updated, most devices are moved, so that only leaves one place for the problem. That would be for our access points for the students.
Did they mention what program they were using when they were having
Just
that
whenever
issue?
they're on their Chromebooks and stuff, they said it takes, when they're going to work on their Chromebooks, they said it takes a while for the Chromebooks and things to connect. They said they can answer, like they can go in there and answer a question, hit enter.
it's probably Google
They
Docs,
said it's
isn't
a
it?
minute
Isn't
or
that something
two
we
before
work
they
on?
load the next question. So it's
Yeah.
something we need to look at is that hotspot. And I can feel for them because when we're in here, I'm on my own internet system because you can't log into this one without it kicking you off. And all it is simple as buying a hotspot. It'll hold about 500 some students. You put a gigabit a second across them, and we should have no issues with them.
Okay.
But if we could, if you could find that out, I'd appreciate it so we could take a look at that for the students.
Was the high school?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'm sure if they're having the problems, Amanda, you all seen the issues and you're all good still with the speeds.
Yeah, at times, I mean, our kids aren't on the Chromebooks as much daily, but there can be some glitches, I feel like, especially when we're all on there taking our ready test or whatever.
But that's something
But
we
it's,
need
I feel like
to
it's
fix.
been improved, but we haven't seen it on the day to day.
You know, if the middle schools have it in,
So when you do iReady, it's kind of,
It can be when you've got more students on there, like anything that you would expect if you've got it overloaded. But I don't recall us having any technical issues as far as internet is on the last diagnostic for iReady. But on the day to day, no one's telling me that. I mean, if they're sitting in help tickets, but I don't feel like that's something that we have a problem.
I reserve the rest of my time, Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Okay, reserve. Moving on to 5, staff school reports. Student board members at a ball game tonight. So we'll move on to B, enrollment attendance report. Mr. David Irving.
So I think it might be easier, like I did last month, just to give you a copy of the sheet that I've got. So, you have that. If there are any questions, and again, and Miss Becky was at the event that we hosted for students, brought the speaker in, the gentleman, I think he told us he travels about 350 plus days out of the year. He just goes from school to school to school all across the country, just talking about this issue. Weather was not great, and we would have hoped to have a few more parents, be able to show up to hear what he said. But all the students did get to hear him speak throughout the day, from 4th grade through 12th grade, and just speaking to some coaches and others. Had a lot of very positive feedback from that, so that was good to hear. So
So I know there's been a lot of illness, so looks like nothing out of the ordinary though, as far as numbers.
yeah, a little bit of a drop going through the break if you're going to make a change, and sometimes people do move. They'll choose Christmas break to do that, so we did see a little bit of a drop. But overall, considering all the illness, the overall district attendance rate for the year is at 93.3%.
Thank you.
Yes.
Quick, Mr. Robert, this current enrollment here on the, says 23-24 total enrollment for kindergarten. It's 93, is that number accurate?
Yes.
What about, you know what the number is for pre-K?
It's 89. If you just want the 4-year-olds, 27 for the 3-year-olds.
Thanks, sir.
All right, moving on to 5C, CIA report. Mr. Tony Drury.
Okay. Start with that cell phone policy, because it does go on with construction and things like that. I think it's policy 09.4261. 09. I can't pull the document up on my phone, but I can see the title of it. Telecommunication devices.
That's the policy 4261, but it says that the school can have their own, should have their own policy.
That's correct.
I pulled up the middle schools, it prohibits it. High schools on the website, it's only got 22 to 23, then it's 23, 24, but it prohibits cell phones from 745 to 250 during the day.
That's correct.
Whether they change that this year, I don't know, but sure, I doubt it, but there's only the 22, 23.
How can the school change policy without the board changing it?
Well, it's not that it's a district policy. District policy says each school can, have their own rules regarding cell phones. So that's in the handbook. I'm referring to the handbook. The middle school handbook prohibits it. This year's current handbook is still under construction. The 22-23 handbook, the high school still prohibits it.
So it's a handbook change, not policy.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I put a couple things together for you. The first one is just our district assessment calendar. It is on the website, but I thought I'd go through it with you just to make it current. Right now, we're doing access testing. You can see that, and that's going well. Our ready scores are now on Infinite Campus and in the parent portal, so parents can get on and see how their students are performing on the iReady assessments. And it'll show if they're on grade level, above grade level, or below 1 grade level, 2 grade levels, or more. So parents can get on there and have those conversations with their students. How can your latest iReady score? You're showing 3 grade levels below. What's the deal with that? Maybe maybe have a little motivation there. If the student can do better, maybe they will, but if they can't, we'll have an honest conversation. Why can't you? Get parents involved in that conversation.
Tony, are we doing any conversations with Rick? Is that,
Absolutely, with parents and students.
okay, so if we did that testing in January
Mhm.
and my kiddo came up 2 grade levels behind, is, other than that being on the internet, is anyone to call me or send anything to
I'm gonna
me?
let Miss Moody speak for that, because she's got a great answer for that, at least at the upper. So you can tell them what all you've done.
The family night that we had in November, we invited parents in to get the first, iReady diagnostic report from the fall. And then today we sent home the second diagnostic report, which is all in one. So it shows them what their kids scored on their fall test, and then on the winter, and we printed it out in color because it was really nice to see like arrows that went up or arrows that went down, and then explain what parents can do to help their students, and then also what any kind of skills that they may be missing or need. So we sent that hard copy home today, and it's on their parent portal.
And I think Miss Morris is doing something similar to that. I'm not sure about the high school and middle school. I can find out. I know Mr. Level has those conversations with students.
I think if we want to change the commitment level of our kids, we've got to let the parents know, so that they can have that conversation, and you probably have to let them know after the first test, to let them know that, and then we have to be open for something to be able to help them toward getting caught up.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I would think that'd be universal across all 4 buildings.
And the good thing about RAs, like she said, you just hit print, and it gives the parents information about what they can do to help their students.
We were able to print it.
Do we have any way to know how many of our parents are utilizing that?
We had a lot more parents reach out from the fall to the winter diagnostic asking where those reports were. So I felt like that, as you said, if we're not going to tell them about what this is or how important it is, how are they to know what to ask about? So I felt like that was a good thing that we've done this year, is to give that information to parents and have them expecting that report this time after this last diagnostic.
I guess my next question would be, going back to first grade or whatever, and you have a reading log. Parent has to sign off on that reading log so that you know the parent's getting it in their hand. Do we have anything that's letting us know what type of penetration levels we're having with getting in touch with the parents? Or are the parents blowing it off?
I thought about this time when we sent home report cards, and it was like, I remember when I had to collect those with a signature, and I knew someone saw it, and I think that was a practice that's been gone for quite a while. But we've had that discussion. Mr. L and I were talking about that, like, well, how do we know who saw it? Like, or that it even got home. So now that it's online as well, that at least gives us a little bit like it didn't come home, but you still have access to it. But how do we know someone's looking at it? So that's a next step for us, is maybe if they have it signed and returned, then at least then we know that somebody at home's looking at it.
I can just go by experience. I was not always an angel. I mean, I was in trouble.
Get out.
Those things maybe didn't make it home with my parents.
Right.
You found a way for the dog to eat it, even if you didn't have a dog.
It was extra credit, right?
Yeah.
Then you gotta make sure.
So I mean, it doesn't take kids long to figure out this isn't good news.
It's not
My life would be easier if mom and dad don't see this. So I'm just wondering if we're doing anything to follow through to make sure that it is truly getting there, and then we're getting that correspondence.
You got a parent here in different schools, different grade levels. Did you all know that you all could log in and look at this information?
You started last week. I just put it in. I spent a day on the phone with the road district learning how to do that. So you just
So that answers my
Yes.
question.
But since you brought us into the conversation, there is a teacher in the high school, Mr.
I'm not.
there's not
I
much
do
names.
get, like, for my high schooler, I'll get an email at the end of the week that'll tell me what missing assignments she has.
Good.
And I can go right at her and say, hey, where's this at? Why don't I have this? So I get that. And that's for all of her classes. She's a freshman. And that's for all of her classes. So I get to know everything she's missing.
And then Mr. Rockhorse in high school, he also sent out like a little postcard saying how amazing our high schooler is.
and how she turns things around. So the high school is very well, I mean, they really do.
Reach out.
Now, Jacqueline, which is my one that's in upper elementary, she's just one of those kids that's gonna bring me everything and anything anyway. Because she wants to show me how well she's doing or ask me how she can correct something. So, I mean, but with high school, I have no worries about where Nevaeh is because I have that report every week.
Just to follow up on our rating, what I really like about our ratings, it's comparing students to the national norms. Your student can have straight A's or whatever in every school, and that means something. But when you compare them to the national norm on how kids are doing across the nation on our rating, that's something else. If it says they're 2 grade levels behind, but maybe they're doing well in our system, that gives us information that we need to get we need to be more prepared and more on grade levels. So that already puts a lot of pressure on us, but that's good. That's what we have. The next thing that I've included, we're starting the budget conversation, and I know this was not on the agenda for discussion or allocation or decision or action, but I just wanted to give you some information that we have as of now for you to look at and to ask us questions over, not during the meeting, but you have it between now and the next time we meet, or now between the time we start talking about this, for you to look at and see where we're at with enrollments, cap sizes, and allocations, and kind of what we were thinking. So that way you have all the information. If you see something on there that's not there that you want, tell us to put it on there. If you're confused about something that's on here, ask us for clarification. But we wanted you to have that now so that we're not having ambiguity or having confusion or just, having to hurry up and have those conversations because there's a state deadline. So that's what that's all about. So that,
Mr. Graham, I've got a question for you.
yes.
In the past, it seems like we buy all these programs and stuff. We had to achieve 38,000. We had the different programs. How many of those programs we get out of school right now?
Most of it already.
Yes, the ones that I tried to streamline that into one program that we can implement with integrity or fidelity, however you want to say it. Because if we try to do too much, we look at these programs and it's called the shiny object syndrome. We want them because somewhere else it worked and there's a school district somewhere that went from 0 to hero because they use this program. And sometimes we can buy into that. But yeah, we've eliminated about everything that we're paying a lot of money for except for iReady. We focus most of our spending, and it's federal funding right now, into the iReady. The lower and the upper has some programs that are not real expensive, but they're auxiliary programs that, like, I think you brought up last meeting, what do we do for students that learn differently than other ones? But we get programs that help those students. It does it differently than what we do in the classroom.
When you look, do you approve those programs, Mr. Graham?
Yes. As far as I know. There might be some in there that I
Right,
don't know
but
about.
I guess my question I was asking is, it seems like we've got all these programs we spend all this money on, and by the end of the year they get scrapped. Are we still doing those practices?
We've dropped several because we're not moving the needle with it. So that's why we put a lot of it into iReady. We do take a hard look at them, and then we know budgets are going to get tighter and tighter. So I appreciate your question, and the answer is we're trying, and it's going to get more and more. As there's a couple things you have to look at. Have to look at technology. Does it work with our system? So we got to look at that. And second, they're doing a better job about giving us research, these programs, to show if it worked in a certain district somewhere, how was it implemented? Was the student demographics comparable to ours? And it looks at all the things that went into making it work in that district. if we don't match up with that district, or we're not implementing it the same way that it was in that district, we're not gonna get the same results. So that's what we're trying to focus on, especially when we're looking at new curriculum. Where was that curriculum successful, and how was it implemented? And can we replicate that here? And what do we need to do? What kind of training do we need to have to get as close as we can? So more and more we're looking at that stuff.
So in other words, you're scrapping the programs to make this short answer.
Some of them, yeah.
If I can interject, Marcus, back when you used to fuss about Achieve 3000, iReady was just coming on by the state. And at one time, they only went through sixth grade, and then they went to the eighth grade. And so when we had Achieve 3000, there was nothing being offered in the high school.
Correct, and I understand it.
And they had something called MAP. Man, you probably remember MAP. MAP testing was a big deal. Well, MAP went to ninth grade, I think. And so you couldn't get uniform with it because the state hadn't got everything approved. And every one of these are approved, or they're given a level of approval by the state. And iReady right now, I think it's the highest that it's a double thumbs
It's
up.
getting better and better. Yeah. Search what you had for a long time.
Yeah. But CERT was only aimed at really helping on the ACT test.
Yep.
It wasn't necessarily about reading comprehension or a particular math problem. It was just all the things that are on ACT. And now the world's kind of gone away from the ACT test a little bit. It's not as, you can actually get into some colleges without an ACT now. So I know when I was here, we were moving toward iReady to get uniform K through 12. And I think now if you got that, you should have one standard program that you ought to be able to see where they're falling off, or how we're catching up, or how we rank. And it ought to be constant.
That's an excellent question, John.
So,
That was a good answer.
All right.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Okay.
If we're standardized now, instead of having all these programs out there,
I already
we used to have, are we standardized so we can start?
Yes.
Okay. I
Last
just
year,
have to say all these on here, some of these on here, and I'm like, oh, surely we ain't going where we used to.
that concludes my report. Unless you have any more questions.
Thank you.
As I said before, then check our website, parent
Yes.
resource tab.
I will.
We've been loading things on there.
We're gonna send a thing out to all parents to let them know.
We haven't done that yet.
That's what I said, I was going to.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to B, superintendent report, Mr. Jeff Cash.
All right. KSBA training, for SBDM, getting in all the acronyms right now, but we had it last Wednesday. We real well, uploading our SBDM policies up. Of course, the e-meeting series, we talked about it. So that went well. We've not got everything caught up, but it was a very positive meeting. Miss Jody enjoyed it because, it broke down the e-meeting structure. But that way people can get on and see your school policies and procedures. I know those don't trump or supersede board or state policies, but it was a move I think we talked about. I think it's in the right direction. A couple things I was going to talk about has already been addressed, so I'll leave them with that. The one thing I want to say about the guest speaker last Tuesday that we were at is I was really shocked at what you can buy at a local gas station. You expect more things, I guess, at a vape shop, tobacco shop, just the run of the mill. And with the potency of what you can buy for 99 cents to $3.99, it was an eye opener. It actually really bothered me. It's sad that you can get something that strong to do bad things to people, and it's that readily available. I guess is what I should say. So I learned a lot from the gentleman. I thought he did an awful good job. Middle and upper school gym, the floor project, they're putting tape down, and then they put a stencil, the Wildcat. I didn't get over to see it finished today, but they painted in stages, paint and peel, they called it. It's going to really look sharp when they got all the extra excess, or I guess not excess, but over the years, the wax and the gym floor sealer, that floor has it. And this is typically true. Your older floors have such a much better grain of wood. When they do the top coat on this after everything's painted, I think it's going to really be sharp. So that project's going on schedule. We should have our gymnasium back for students. They're open by Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. So Mr. Arden's been talking to those folks real regular. So they've come in, done everything they promised. Project's going well. Boys and girls basketball, both runners up in the All-A region. So I want to congratulate them. I know they wanted to win, but they played well. I thought they did real well. Homecoming last Friday, I sent you an email. It was canceled. I know a lot of folks like to show up for that. It was canceled due to the high winds. It's been rescheduled for February 1st. That'll be homecoming. It'll be against Carroll County. We went ahead and scheduled the 13th for the third chance to have it. So we will get homecoming in. The girls are playing tonight. That's why our student board rep member is not here. He's in the band and helped set up and all that good stuff. So Mr. Cicilli is having fun at his ball game. And the last thing I was in hopes to be able to do is share with you a list of names for the superintendent team task force. We have those. We're going to come in at 13 students. We're going to have some meetings with me. I want them to come and to introduce them to you guys. Mr. Hargis is helped me look at the logistics from the House versus the Senate. Probably better go to the Senate Education Committee. I'd like to take those students down and let them see that. All of them have not been told you've been selected to the group, and they have a chance. They don't have to. They have a chance to say, I'd rather not do that. So for that reason, I don't want to share that. But I hope down the road we can do some things with them. I know the board values student input, and this will be a new set of people for you to look at. Maybe have them come in at the end of one meeting or something and be able to have kind of a little question and answer. I know you all like that. So really excited about that. So, and that concludes it. Thank you.
Quick question on the KSBA site-based decision-making training. So now the councils will be doing e-meetings? Or is that?
That's that.
Okay.
Two of them are a lot of the documents they had the policies and Miss New was in there. Some of them could go up depending on what they had, what format, I guess, is what we're working on. And then we want to review all their policies and make sure they're up to date. We meet state and board guidelines and things of that nature. So that's step 2. And that may not be till this summer. But we want an easy, again, that's the reason I asked you all if we could do this, was so parents and guardians can either look at their SPDM council meetings and minutes and get some uniform and be legal in the process. You know, the date, the location, the time, make sure the doors are open, things like that. We're trying to really improve on that.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Did everybody get a chance to look at item 5E, SBDM agenda minutes?
Yes.
5F, human resource actions. Okay, moving on to 6, the consent agenda. Questions, discussion?
I did have a question. So on the fundraising request, and it's the one about
Donations?
asking for donations from the community. So we'll have senior breakfast, senior lunches, snacks are available for our seniors during the last week of school. We're hoping to have some fun activities. People, companies will be donating monetary donations as well as food donations. So when we go out to ask for donations, do we show something of like what this is for? You know, I'm just thinking of like the scammers out there. I mean, I hope that we don't look like a scammer kind of thing, you know, where we don't have credentials or we can't give the business like a receipt or
Sponsorship letter, are we giving something in
sponsorship.
return?
Yeah.
Yes. The short answer to that is yes. Is this, Jackie, is this the one the high school's doing?
Yes.
Dana normally runs that stuff through the activity fund, and of course she's off with her hip surgery, but they will have a receipt from the activity fund. And if you prefer, we will have that club or whatever, they can turn up a nice form. And
Yeah, I think that's what they're wanting, is for the businesses and people, so that they
certainly,
can take
we'll
that.
have them do that and have that, and the businesses can display that they've donated to that activity. That's not a problem at all.
Are we reconciling these reports of the
Yes.
student activity, because it needs to, we need
Each
to make sure
club
that,
and activity is responsible for reconciling that, turning that money in.
but I mean, because it's so broad, I think is the question. It's not specific of how much is being asked for each donation.
Well, my question is gonna be, how much are they outbidding for?
Well,
A dollar amount?
Sometimes it's that, sometimes it's prizes, sometimes it's
But I mean,
gift certificates.
how much money we talking
but
here?
whatever is brought in has to be spent out on that particular
Yes.
fundraiser, so they have to keep a very good track, and I don't know if
Well, each business, if anytime somebody gives them a donation, they'll write a receipt for that. The money will go in for that activity and every penny will have to be spent on that activity.
So
So
how much money do they need to do this? I guess easier way to ask.
those questions would have to be asked of the sponsor of that club that's gonna perform that activity. So if you're uncomfortable approving that, the activity's not gonna happen until the end of the school year. We can
No,
say,
but we're uncomfortable. I was just kind of curious because if it's,
you need to have an ending amount. You're asking
A
for
goal.
500.
What's our
like
goal?
that
yeah,
this
what's
year,
the
and
goal,
you can have
then,
them.
you know, maybe it's something.
then
more
then
than
I
that.
suggest we table this till next month and I'll get those questions answered for you.
Is that one for prom or what's that?
This is the end of the year.
It's an end of the year activity. So there's no hurry to approve it tonight.
I don't think you can do that, ask those questions, but I think typically they just get what they can
They
get.
get what
And
they
then
with
Yeah,
that.
the event is as grand as they get.
I'm kind of curious what the goal is because if it's 1,500, you said the board could give them the 1,500 instead of sending them out here to.
Well, yeah, just thinking about small community, you know, we kind of hit the same businesses over and over. And they donate over and over, taxes, you know, I just don't want to just be asking, begging for money with not an end goal or without the documentation, without credentials.
But maybe that's what I'm saying, maybe that's something that the board will pick up or something, depending on how much they're asking for.
Do we want to pull this one, have it on the next, but then have them break down about how much their goal is? I
Yes.
mean, you know, we can.
That way maybe it's something where.
I think that's a
consider
great
taking up
idea.
To say, okay, the board will pay for this.
Otherwise, I move for approval to the consent agenda minus that request.
A second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Mhm. 7, recommended action, new business.
Oh, did we pull out G?
You did
Yeah,
that.
but I did that in
Yeah,
my
you did
motion.
that by motion
Oh,
already.
thank you, okay.
Now he,
Recommended action, new business, A, review, approve, audit of financial statements by Barnes and Denny for 2022, 2023.
See, it's not even 10:30 yet.
You're on the clock.
Good evening. I'm Daniel DeMonte. I'm the insurance manager with Barnes Denny. You should have a copy of the audit report that will make for some late night reading for you all when you guys can't fall asleep. I'm going to go over the presentation here, just some required communications and just how the audit went overall. We were engaged to do an audit of the June 30th, 2023 financial statements, and that included a single audit over major federal programs, so federal funds that are received by the district. We picked certain ones to look at and look at them in detail. Some required communications, the financial statements are the responsibility of district management. We do risk-based auditing, so we provide reasonable but not absolute assurance where we don't look at every transaction, every invoice, every payroll, but we get a good sense of what the riskiest areas are, and we do most of our testing in those areas. We do get an understanding of the internal controls of the districts, but this is not an internal control audit, so we do not provide any assurance over that. The financial statements do not, the audit of the financial statements does not relieve you of management of your responsibilities, and there's an engagement letter that details these responsibilities more in detail. The executive summary page, we issued an unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements and the major federal programs. That is a clean opinion, the best opinion you can get. We looked at food service or the child nutrition programs, as well as the education stabilization fund, which you all may know better as ESSER and YEAR and all that stuff. received excellent cooperation from Mary Jane, and Kelly was involved as well, and Dana and some other people, but everyone was cooperative, and appreciate your efforts in that. There are no disagreements or difficulties encountered during the audit, and no consultations with other independent accountants. Significant accounting policies are discussed in note 1 of the financial statements. There was an adoption of a new standard, GASB 96. Subscription-based information technology arrangements, or SBITAs, as I believe they're pronounced. Basically, they are accounting for leased IT agreements. So if there's a long-term contract for IT equipment or a certain software that requires a certain piece of equipment, we're required to calculate the asset and the corresponding obligation to pay that over the long-term contract, and then amortizes over the period of that contract. We looked into it. There was no material impact, so there was nothing really recorded on the financial statements, and that is disclosed in the financial statements as well. No internal control matters are reportable. We're not aware of any matters related to fraud or legal acts that require communication, or we would do that. Other written communication can be found in the management representation letter that can be made available to you all. And there were no significant audit adjustments or uncorrected adjustments due to materiality levels. And then I have 2 graphs here to show just the trends in the district-wide financial statements. The statement of net position has the assets, deferred outflows, liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position. We had increases kind of across the board here. So increases in cash, accounts receivable, and deferred outflows. The increase in liabilities was due to an increase in bonds. There was a 2022 bond at the beginning of the school year, and also increases in the net pension and OPEB liabilities. And then that position increased due to revenues exceeding expenditures, which you can see on the last page of the presentation. And then that blue line being over the orange line is the revenues exceeding expenditures for the 2023 year. Revenues increased due to increases in taxes, state sources, federal sources. I mentioned the Education Stabilization Fund, those ESSER and GEAR funds seem to be, 2023 was the big year for all those to be spent. With those, all those are cost reimbursement. So the district pays for the services that are eligible under those grants, and then they get reimbursed. So the revenues and expenditures are both increased. And this does include, I mentioned before, the pension and OPEB liabilities. With those changes year over year, that's not reflected in what Mary Jane does in Munis. That is just on the district-wide financial statement. So it could inflate or decrease revenues and expenses with those changes.
So any recommendations for financial management moving forward?
No recommendations. I did also want to mention that, we looked at the activity funds and we do testing in that area as well, and we didn't find any issues and anything that we looked at for the different schools as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Motion to approve the report.
Always good news. I second.
John, Becky, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4-0.
Thank you.
B, review approved board members' attendance for the 2024 KSBA annual conference, March 1st through 3rd in Louisville. Motion?
Motion to approve. We may attend. Now, in that, does that include the superintendent?
So I took you off, I was waiting, you usually get ahead of it. We have Friday night, you a room, Friday night, Miss Becky a room. Then we have for Friday and Saturday, we have Miss Becky, Miss Amanda, Miss Ashley, Mr. John, and Mr. Davis pulled his back out to wait and see what they do in Frankfurt. But is that correct? We wanted
Are they doing anything on Sunday morning? What are they doing on Sunday morning?
there's a short session, I think, Sunday morning. But if the board wants me to go, yeah, I'll gladly go with you.
There are things there for you to do, aren't there?
Yeah, there's meetings, I think there's something to do. There's superintendents.
I think we'd be good.
Last year, I don't really know because last year I was in cohort 11 and they pulled us off and I saw you for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I superintendent meetings in there too.
It's good for you to be there.
Okay.
If it works with your
That's up to the
schedule.
board. But we only have 2 people with rooms for Friday night is what we have there. And if you a Friday night room and you a Friday night room, nobody Saturday. Correct?
Correct.
I'm not aiming on going to anything on Sunday, so.
No, not either.
Okay, you're good?
I'm just Friday.
But you didn't want a room?
No.
Okay, because we'll probably do those tomorrow, Ms. Jody, because it will fill up.
And I do not need a room.
You gonna go?
I'll let you know.
You can register for the conference, that's not the issue. It's getting a room at the dollhouse is what will fill up.
Yeah.
We're pushing it now.
Make sure if y'all want to get that on there, they won't serve you with that little milk.
I have everyone for lunch.
We have 4 meal
What's
tickets,
the deal?
4 meal tickets for the Friday, yes.
You go up the end of the street there, make a left, cross the road down over the thing there,
I'll
walk
make a
down the steps.
motion that we approve that plus the superintendent.
Yes, I'll second. Old Spaghetti Factory's pretty good too.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Item 7C, review approved 23-24 Johnson County draft budget narrative.
All right, so remind me which budget this is. This is where we kind of have an idea
Yes.
of our numbers. This isn't the final though.
No, this is the first one. Next is the tentative budget.
Okay.
We'll get as close as possible. And then the working budget is the third one that we have to use for the following year.
How did we end up with 2 different budgets?
That's my fault. I'll take that one.
So like a pre-draft, a draft, and then
Well,
your
but
final essay.
Kelly
This
didn't,
is the pre-draft, this one really
Just
doesn't
to
mean
get
a
us
whole lot. So it's a
This is the
formality.
one that Kelly likes, if you want the short version.
Yeah, I like his better. His showed 2.5.
Yeah.
His said you showed nothing.
Yeah, I took the worst case scenario and Kelly was not happy with that. So we were on the phone all morning. So this is his version of the main difference is he tweaked the seat numbers a little bit. He's expecting the state to give us a little bit more money and I was kind of afraid to assume that. So he would like for you to accept his budget, and I apologize for the lateness of it. Between the extension on the audits and the board meetings and the draft budget, I was struggling trying to meet all the deadlines at
And you
once.
learning the whole thing.
And
so
learning everything,
everything,
so
yeah.
I appreciate your patience.
You get pretty good with Venus, or is it still a challenge? Or?
It is a challenge. I will admit it's one of the biggest computer programming challenges I have ever faced, but I am learning more every day. And I will take this opportunity to tell you that after working in here since July, the state has finally assigned me a mentor. So
I was getting ready to ask if you need help. Is there any way that we can?
Well, I have Jan Johnston who's still coming. I'm gonna probably back her off to once a week soon. And the new lady that has been assigned by the state, I have a list of questions for her. I think she's gonna be really good. And there's a Munis, I forget what they call it, a Munis college or school that Dana and Linda have told me about that they hold in March. So I've been told by other CFOs that once I go through that in March, that it'll be a whole lot easier for me. So the thing I struggle with most in Munis is the reporting and getting the information out of it that I want to see. So I'm hoping there's 100 different ways you can key in your report options and you get 100 different answers. But I am learning and things are getting easier, but it has been a challenge. So, but anyway, Kelly called me this morning and he didn't like my conservative budget. So.
Did you say like your original budget had a contingency of 0?
No, it didn't have a contingency of 0.
I said, Katie, you shut you down for that.
No, it didn't have a contingency of 0.
Okay.
But it was $200,000 lower than his.
Okay.
And also, something we kind of need to watch, and I don't know when it'll occur. Like you can answer us, Mr. Cash, food service, we look at the budget under food services and stuff. It looks like we're spending about, I went back to check a couple other things on monthly financial reports. Looks like we're bringing in probably 10 to 12%, I think. We're spending between 18 and 20%. We have any idea when that'll flip around?
Well, food costs caught her off guard with the start, and she being new. I mean, I'm not making excuses, but that did put her behind. There was some pay raises and things like that. But it runs a cycle. Mr. Carter, you may have to help me, but they're usually a month to 2 months behind on the pay. She has been working on like student numbers, breakfast, lunch, and dinners. You feel confident she'll be all right.
So you think that'll flip?
Yes, sir, I do.
From, okay.
Yep.
I know it's kind of looks, it ain't worth the paper it's written on, so.
Any motion?
My chair also moved. So,
All in favor?
uh,
Opposed? 4-0. D, action, discussion of side-by-side.
Are all these bids apples to apples?
Close. One has, Mr. Harvin, you have those, or you, we've sent them to you. I think one of them, Mr. Davis helped us find some different vendors in different places. The John Deere's the state bid price. One of them, I think, may have had a hard door, like metal. The Gator, I think, is the one. Is that correct? You want to speak to this?
The Gator does have the soft side
Soft
doors.
sides?
They've got the glass. I think it might be the only one though that's got the hydraulic
Yeah.
as opposed to manual for the blade, for the snow blade, which is, obviously a nice feature to have.
Is it worth the difference in price?
I would think with the service that would come with it, that's the one individual that we spoke with that said, if you were to have an issue and I can't get it fixed in 24 hours, I'll get you another one.
Who says that?
That'd be the John Deere.
Yeah, the CF logos are made by the fourth largest manufacturer side by side. We need parts, we can go right across the road, get for them. Norman Products owns the company that manufactures the parts for them, so parts won't be an issue for either one of them, I don't believe. The only difference is, like you said, the one's got hydraulics on it. The other ones, have hard doors where John Deere don't.
They don't have hydraulics. Means manually we have to put something
It's
on.
on a front winch on a cable, but if you want to turn it left or right, to wind roll your snow, that's a good way of saying it, then you have to get outside and pull the pin.
The plow, it's all gonna be on there.
The John Deere, you can set in the cab and, or you can make it go whatever, up, down, and tilt it left, right.
And that one, that plow does, is it quick remove plow to the hydraulic?
I think so. I did not
That's
ask
something
something.
we need to find out. Make sure that.
All of it's just the bolt kit that drops it off. You'll still have a bracket, but you won't have to leave the blade on. It's not a major deal. Once they put the bottom part of the bracket that you hook the plow to, just like our, for the truck that we have, the snow dog plow that we, purchased, put on the Tom Dooley truck, it's less than 5 minutes. They estimate 3 to 4 minutes on taking it off and putting it on.
This is not my specialty, so
And I really don't care on it. It don't matter.
So what's your recommendation?
Any of them will work. They really will, Becky, for what we're gonna use it for.
Even the one, would we need the snow blade, the one with the snow
Yep.
blade, yeah.
They all operate from in the cab. One is using winch, the other one's using hydraulic, like he said. One hit a button, it'll turn the plow, the other one you pull a pin when you walk beside it. And it pulls the plow, they go up and down from inside the cab. One's got solid doors, one don't. The one's got glass, well, 2 of them I think on there, I seen that glass windshield. One of them had, like saying, so I mean, it really, when you get into them, it just, it don't, I don't know how to explain it, it don't really matter the way does it go.
I'm better than anybody else
Especially
here.
for what we're using it for.
John Deere's on the state bid, and their
I'm a John
price
Deere guy myself.
is there. And I'm not knocking, like Mr. David said, I'm not knocking the other companies, Gorman's right here. I mean, I tried to get you multiple bids to where.
Whatever we feel is best, or who's gonna run it, or whatever, I'm in
Best
favor.
service, best.
It's only $1,500 difference between the high bid and the low bid, so. Okay. Is the intention still to put this on BG1 and use bond funds for the purchase?
Pardon?
With the intention, at one point, remember that
What are you
you.
talking about, Jake?
That fan's running.
I was gonna say, I've researched that, I think that's permissible.
You just represent us when we get caught.
Okay, I was gonna say, I've researched that, I think that's permissible. Thank you, I mean,
We
it's,
do need four-wheel drive to pull.
I'm not gonna guarantee it, that they won't kick at it, but.
All of that.
Yes, that is the intention, so it's not coming out of
John
the
Deere
fund.
four-wheel
I
drive,
get permission. I'll back.
and that's,
I didn't think from a research on it.
Just a bit.
Now, the snowplow, no, but when that money moves back into general fund, then we've got the money allotted to cover that
I
snowplow.
thought John Deere, but I'm a John Deere fan, so
It's gonna be like a little bit.
now, John Deere's the high bid. But when
It's
you
got
buy
the
John
air
Deere,
control
you
on the
usually,
blade.
you pay more for John Deere partly because you buy into, you think John Deere's worth it. Me and my family do. I
Sounds
don't
like a
know if
motion to me, John.
Huh?
Sounds like a motion to me.
I'll make a motion about John Deere. Let's see if we got a second.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Alright, discussion, okay, this was, item 6G, moved down to 7E, discussion before approval of the school nutrition report.
Yes, ma'am, if you're looking on them school nutrition reports, I'm doing this from memory, but I'll make it quick. On those reports, I think, first page, about fourth, fifth line down, it says attendance, and it's showing that we're not proficient in attendance on that. How can we not know what our daily attendance is on those reports? You got the, scroll down to here. School start times, see, like a school start time. How can we not know our school start times?
Yeah, what the man says, under development.
Yeah, that's what, how can school start times be under development when we've been at school half a year?
So it is.
No, I'm being serious on that.
Because all four buildings are a little different.
Well, each school,
They're a little different.
yeah, each school's got its own thing, and then we have another one on there. My question is, where do we get this data and information from?
The school, the first part, the food, I don't mean to hover over top of it. The nutrition part is turned in. Do you have the whole packet? It was turned in from Miss Brown.
Right, and also on
And
here,
Miss
like,
Christy Beatty does the,
like the representative school health committee or team partially in place. Why is it only partially in place? And then I seen something on there too about I think one of them said school nurse, we got school nurse. But it wasn't filled in that we had them. I guess I'd like somebody, an explanation on the report, please, if somebody can explain it to me. It's like this one right here, stress management program for staff. Do we not have stress management programs in place?
We have an EAP program for that.
Correct, but according to that report, we don't.
Is that for Gallatin schools? Is that the
Mhm.
title?
Yeah, I'll take school.
it's a physical activity report that was done by Nurse Christy, and then the other part was done by Miss Brown.
Can we table for next month and just get
Please.
clarity?
And I'll have them here to explain it.
So I move the table.
I'll second.
Good call, I'm sorry.
I'll agree.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0.
Madam Chair, I move that item F to the agenda, adjourn.
Great. Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's on mine.
All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
That's the one.
Great. Thank you. Good. John's gonna second.
One I printed off, I've got.
See, I need my own.
Really added to it. Was yours printed on all this, like a second?
It was on what originally was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I read it on my phone.
Yeah.